one soul ring.
Got it.
Get it? Got it? Good.
Yep, we got it. Man, this is kind of dating the episode here, and I mean this is a set review, so I guess it's already kind of dated. But are you guys as tired of these health restrictions as I am?
Yeah, of course.
These new ones, they just brought in these new ones, and it's like, oh, you can't go over to anybody's house again.
Yeah.
But you can go hang out on a patio at a restaurant.
Yeah, it's
or at a public place. Yeah, it doesn't
No.
really make sense. I think it should be all or nothing.
you can only hang out on Tuesdays when the sun's at high noon.
But
And no wind,
Yeah.
no wind, because the droplets move with the
but it's
wind.
like they are saying that all of the cases are coming from like house gatherings and stuff. So obviously they want to like try and stop that. But then it's like when you have this like backwards forwards like mentality about everything, then it just all seems kind of dumb.
Yeah, and also like, you know, the reason why they don't do like another big lockdown is just because everybody's frustrated and tired of this. So it also, you know, they can make all the orders that they want, but if people don't adhere to them, then it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, we're just tired. We're all tired of this. And we want to get the next Commander League going, and we can't do it because of these restrictions.
Yep.
God damn COVID. So without any further ado, let's get on to a more positive topic. Welcome to the show, everyone. This is Turn 1 Soul Ring. I'm Kevin.
Hey, I'm Eric.
And I'm Riley.
And today we are wrapping up our Strixhaven set review with part 3. If you've listened to one of our set reviews before, you know that they are not exhaustive. We cover the cards we're interested in playing in the formats we play. We normally go through the cards in Wooburg order with a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for? Little alteration this time, because we've already covered white, blue, black, red, green, and MDFC cards in parts 1 and 2. That was the little alteration was the MDFC. This is an MDFC set. I think this is an MDFC game going forward. I think this is just the way it is. So that means that today we're covering the gold, colorless, and land cards. So before we get to our first gold card, Eric, how can listeners get in touch with us?
They can find us over on Instagram at Turn 1 Soul Ring, the podcast. You can message us directly via email, turn1soulring.thepodcast@gmail.com. We also throw everything up on YouTube. The best way to find us is typing in Turn 1 Soul Ring, the podcast. And then, if you like what we do here with our show, we have a Patreon page. Go check us out over there, patreon.com/Turn1SoulRing.
Yeah, you have to like it a lot. So, getting to the first gold card here, we have Beladros Witherbloom. It's 5 black green for a 4/4 legendary elder dragon with flying, of course. At the beginning of each upkeep, create a 1/1 black and green pest creature token with, when this creature dies, you gain 1 life. And then you can pay 10 life, untap all lands you control, activate only once each turn.
He's a house.
Yeah. Oh well, all of these I think we're going to talk about every single one of these elder dragons, but yeah, they're definitely a solid first pick.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Beladros Witherbloom, like I've had a few games of limited where I've managed to open one, and he, like, unless he's removed right away, he manages to stabilize you very nicely, even if you don't end up paying 10. But I'm particularly excited for him or building around him in Commander and doing like some sort of like Golgari Storm deck. I think that would be a ton of fun.
Yeah, just all that extra mana. But yeah, the cards that create tokens like this, you know, the really good ones always say at the beginning of each upkeep, you know, you keep getting that token, which is really what you want to see.
Yeah, it's like a Verdant Force effect.
Or
Tendershoot Dryad.
what is that? Tendershoot Dryad. Yeah, exactly.
Or Coma.
Yeah. Yes, Coma. Same thing. Absolutely.
Yeah, I could just see some really fun combo stuff, obviously. Like, untapping all lands you control is an incredibly powerful ability, and so you can definitely really go off in Commander with this. 10 life's 10 life, you know. It's only a quarter.
I can spare 10 life.
Yeah, it's 25% of your life total. Yeah. It's not even that much. You're still at 30. That's what all Commander players think when they look at this. They're like, I'm at 30 life, no problem. Not thinking about other things that could happen in a game of Commander and that do regularly happen that lower your life total.
It's like by the time you're able to use it, you're like, oh, I'm at 20.
And there are so many other green cards in the game that let you untap lands, and a lot of green cards that double mana when you tap a land. Also, a ton of black cards that do the same thing, let you tap lands for double mana, or you have the Cabal Coffers, Yawgmoth's Tomb situation. So yeah, there's a ton of potential here for a really impactful either Exsanguinate or Torment of Hailfire.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Remember that stuff.
Yeah, we definitely haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah. I think this is also, for all the Elder Dragons, this is like my favorite art for them.
Oh yeah, it's pretty dope.
From the set.
Yeah, I like that they have the smaller birds flying around to give you an idea of scale.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So cool. And then his horns with all the this guy's badass.
Yeah, they're kind of like antlers. Like they're they're pretty sweet.
He's got like feathered wings too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's got a little bit of an Ugin feel to him.
I was about to say that.
Yeah. It's nice. Next up, we have Blow Out the Sky. It's X white-black for a sorcery. Create X tapped 2/1 white and black inkling creature tokens with flying. If X is 6 or more, destroy all non-creature, non-land permanents. Oof.
Yeah, I've definitely lost to this in Limited.
Oh, I've definitely won with this in Limited. You just gotta open it. That's the trick.
Yeah, that's the trick.
You gotta open it. You gotta pick it.
Yeah. Well, you're definitely gonna pick it if you open it because it's a fucking bomb.
If it's in pack 3, though, and you're not going white black,
well, then you splash for it. I don't know. Figure it out.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
It is very powerful.
Yeah, a great rate like for getting 2/1 flyers. It's really strong card, and just that gravy of getting to 6 or more, like in Commander, I could definitely see this being a very impactful play, just like blowing up all your opponents' like mana rocks and value engines, like Rhystic Studies and everything like that.
Sylvan libraries and all that other shit they're trying to win with.
Just destroy their hopes.
And then like these can also block the turn they come down.
Yeah, unfortunately they come into the battlefield tapped. So
where?
Yeah.
Oh, it does say tapped.
Oh, yeah.
I missed that.
So,
but there's also a huge gulf between 1/1 and 2/1.
exactly.
Oh, huge.
Like that. Like I think some players underestimate that, and it is huge. So like one of the commanders from the one of the secondary commanders from the Silverquill deck is all about creating these tokens, and that thing I think has the potential to be very powerful.
Yeah, and if you're like paying like 5 total mana for this, you're getting 3 2/1s. Like that's already a pretty dang good rate, and then every single other mana you throw into it is just like even better.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did I totally missed this card during spoiler season. Body of Research is next. It's 3 green, 3 blue. I saw quite a few memes about this card. For a sorcery, create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token. Put X 1/1 counters on it, where X is the number of cards in your library.
That's a big old fractal.
For sure, yeah. If you have some fractal synergies, oh yeah.
You don't even need fractal synergies. You're just like, oh, I'm going to cast this. I got a 70/70.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if no one has, how many times have we had to deal with that card that creates Pegasus tokens, and we're just like, I don't have any removal. I guess I'll die.
That one's only life total, but that's like a bunch.
It pairs very nicely with Simic Ascendancy. Yeah, the alternate win con enchantment.
Nice.
Yeah, so I mean, like overall, like it's just gonna be a big dummy, which is fine. Like if you want to like fling it or use it in some way to like give it trample or something like that, I'm sure you can make it into a big threat. The fact that it doesn't have trample itself, like inherently, it's kind of just like obviously that's a bummer. But
yeah, like you do need a trampler enabler.
I think that might have been too much, giving it an evasive ability. I think that might have been too far. Of course,
yeah, it's already a big donkey. Like,
just give it haste and trample. It's fine.
And they have like the boar, like as the elemental like fractal creature. So it definitely is a big dummy.
Yeah.
Even though pigs are supposed to be smarter than dogs, but I don't know. I've never encountered one.
Also, if you're in a teamer deck, I just remembered about there's that card Chandra's Ignition.
Oh yeah, that would be good. Yeah, that's a way to win. I mean,
super spicy.
Yeah, like 11 mana.
Yeah, 11 mana, you win the game.
Yeah,
it's not even that
blue,
much.
Blue, blue, green, 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 red, red, and 3.
Yeah.
So the stars have to align for you in that case, but like you could do it.
Oh yeah.
You know what? That's not true about the pig. Ainsley, a friend of Ainsley's, has a pet pig. It's like one of those miniature pigs, and I don't know about his intelligence because he seems to be uninterested in anything other than the floor. So he may be smart, but he's got no personality. The dogs that I've encountered have been much more, just vivacious. So next up we have Closing Statement. It's 3 white-black for an instant. This spell costs 2 less to cast during your end step. Destroy target creature or planeswalker you don't control. Put a 1/1 counter on up to 1 target creature you control. It's kind of fun. You don't see that too often during end step. I think there's another. What's that card with Volrath on it? I think it's Necrologia. Isn't that like an end step card?
Yeah, there's one where it's like 3 black for an instant. They can only cast during your end step, and you pay X life and then draw X cards.
Yeah, that's right. It's an instant. Yeah, Necrologia.
What?
It's from Exodus originally. It's great. Yeah, I have this in my Mikaeus deck. It's a great card.
I've always wanted to put it in a commander deck. It's always one of those cards that's just like 5 mana. Oh, there's so much gravy. But of course, you still have to, like, during your cleanup step, discard down to hand size. So you can't get too greedy.
No, you can't. No, unless you have like a reliquary tower.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
But I do enjoy the flavor of Closing Statement. Like giving you that cost reduction on your end step.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's pretty
absolutely.
Fun.
Yeah.
And like a 3 mana removal spell is good, and then you also get a counter on one of your creatures as like a little bonus as well, which is pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, unlike a lot of the removal spells or the spells in this set, it hits. It cares about both creatures and planeswalkers, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Culling Ritual is next. It's 2 black-green for sorcery. Destroy each non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less. Add a black or green for each permanent destroyed this way. So that gives you the option of, for each permanent, you get to choose a mana to add to your mana pool. You don't just have to choose all one or the other, right?
Yeah, so you can add any combination of black and green.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a better templating. Add any combination of black or green. But, I also don't like the templating on... This set's got some new templating, and I'm not crazy about it. But I don't like change. So there it is.
I'm always a big fan of trying to make things a little bit more concise. Mm-hmm. I don't know. That's just me. But Culling Ritual, super cool. I'm a huge fan of it. And I would honestly, like, given the name, I would think of it more as a ritual, because you probably shouldn't think of this as a sweeper. If anything, it's going to be hitting a lot of, like, mana rocks or other, like, tokens or utility artifacts or enchantments.
Well, yeah, it's going to hit all the tokens.
Yeah, but, like, it's not going to be a reliable sweeper by any chance because, obviously your opponent's threats are not going to be 2 or less mana value, right? Or
Yeah,
CMC
for
Eric, right?
Yeah, especially as a game of Commander progresses, but this could be very devastating on turn 4 in a game of Commander.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it just gives you that huge burst of energy, right? Like that big burst of mana.
And then you get to, if you have the cards to do it, you'll essentially get to rebuild first.
Yeah, like even like if each of your opponents have like 1 mana rock, you still get 3 mana back, so this only costs you 1 mana. It would be nice if it was each non-landed permanent like your opponent's control instead of hitting your own stuff, but
you touch green, so you can definitely make it a little bit more one-sided, just like playing land ramp instead of mana rocks.
Yeah.
Or even use like pests or other like expendable tokens to generate
get some mana. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Yeah, if you have like a token-based strategy to like, go off on a turn, get a good like Exsanguinate going or something, you can Culling Ritual, kill all your own stuff, and get a big old spell.
Yeah, or what about like Grismold, giving all your opponents like plants?
Yeah.
And then Culling Ritual, that would be pretty cool. And then Grismold gets huge because all those tokens just died.
Yeah, this is actually
that's
great
pretty
in that
spicy.
deck. Yeah.
Yeah, a few more sets get released. I think Grismold's going to be a viable commander.
He already is.
No, I love Grismold. I kid because I love. Next up we have Demogoth Titan. It is 4 Golgari hybrid mana for a 11/10 demon. Whenever it attacks or blocks, sacrifice a creature. Oof, this is great with pests.
Yeah.
It's a thick boy.
This guy's a house.
No kidding. Yeah.
Friggin' 11/10 for 4 mana. Like that's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do need like token support or something to actually have this creature do things. Because it's even on blocking as well. You need to sacrifice a creature. So I mean, if you do have like a cool sacrifice deck or something with tokens, this can definitely fit right in there. This is just like a big ass threat. Yeah.
Pairs well with Greater Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Don't even have to worry about attacking your block.
Yeah, this is definitely like some things I care about, like power toughness. This is a really good piece because it's only 4 mana, and then you're getting like a really big creature to do something with.
Deadly Brew is next. It's black. It's a black and a green for a sorcery. Each player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. If you sacrificed a permanent this way, you may return another permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. I've played against this quite a bit in Standard in the last couple of weeks, and I don't like it.
Well, that's a sign of a good card, I guess.
Yes, cool. Because if you're on the play, and you play out a creature on turn 2 or turn 1 and turn 2, and then it goes to their turn 2 and they play this, and they don't have to sacrifice anything, and it stinks.
Well, even in a deck that can utilize that sacrifice effect for value, like you're basically getting like a regrowth that can only hit permanents, right? So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's it. On top of being a regrowth, like making your opponent sacrifice something.
Yeah, it's
that's great.
Nice little utility card, and it's nice that it hits planeswalkers too, right?
Yeah.
If they don't have a creature.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Decisive Denial is next. It is a green and a blue for an instant. Choose one. Target creature you control fights target creature you don't control, or counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 3.
This is a really cool, versatile card. Because like,
oh yeah, it'd be great if it was, because it's like the second option is like almost a mana leak.
Yep.
Yeah. And then, but it's like if you have like a blue green, obviously you can have some pretty big creatures, and then this is also just like a removal spell as well.
Yeah.
So with fight, because it says each deals damage equal to its power to the other. If one of the creatures has, like, if one creature has death touch and it's dealing damage equal to its power, is it dealing damage as though it was like combat damage or as though it was like pinging it?
You'll have to look at where the source is coming from. So like, for example, in this case, each creature is dealing damage to the other. So the source is the creature dealing damage. But there are some like red cards, for example, that might reference a creature's power, but it's the actual spell doing the damage, not the creature. It's just using the creature's reference. So yeah, you just have to look at where the source is, and in this case, it's the creatures dealing damage to each other.
Yeah.
Same thing works for lifelink too, right? So with a lifelink creature, you'd gain the life that they would deal.
Double Major is next. It is also a green and a blue for an instant. Copy target creature spell you control, except it isn't legendary if the spell is legendary. So this card kind of stinks in limited, but I think it's, it seems this is a really fun card, and it potentially powerful. But it's not too powerful. You have the restriction of only being able to target your own creature. Also in this set, there are some other things where you can make copies, and if the targeted creature is legendary, the copies aren't legendary. That's kind of nice. I think we started to see that with like Spark Double back in War of the Spark, and they're just giving us more of that. But yeah, this card just seems like a real powerhouse in like a Simic commander deck, just getting another legendary creature as you cast it. But otherwise I don't really see a home for it anywhere else.
Yeah, it does carry some risks with it because it's, of course, like targeting a creature on the stack. But I think in Commander it would be fun because, of course, you're always going to have access to your Commander, and the fact that it gets rid of the legendary status makes it so, you can double your Commander. So I think it's a little bit more reliable in Commander than most other formats.
Yeah, I think this is a great card. Like, think of having like double Yarok. Like, okay.
Yeah, or double AC. Yeah.
Or even double of the new Simic commanders from the Precon.
Yeah.
The one that's basically like a doubling season.
Yeah.
Or I guess a Parallel Lives. Yeah, it's closer to a Parallel Lives.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they're going to put doubling season on a Precon commander. But they might. I wonder which deck is the most expensive to buy if you just wanted to like buy the single
cards. Yeah. Oh.
The single cards, but that always informs the price of each sealed deck.
Yeah.
Because like if you pre-ordered them, there you get them all for the pre-order price. Last
I checked, I think the Lorehold deck was the most expensive. Just because those two white cards, there was the Archaeomancer's map and Monologue Tax. Like they're.
Oh my goodness, those are expensive cards.
Yeah, because white finally has decent cards.
Oh, those are not. I'm telling you right now, those are not decent cards. I mean, I could be wrong about that, but I do not think those are good cards.
I think
the Archaeomancer's map is like it has potential, but like Monologue Tax. I guess I just don't like relying on my opponents to do things for me to get value.
Yeah, I think Archaeomancer's map will play out a lot like Cultivate, and with a little bit of extra upside in the later game. Like if you do start falling behind later, I think that the times where you play Cultivate and Cultivate is good is going to be the times that you play Archaeomancer's map and it's good.
Yeah, and I think like Monologue Tax, if they give you the stipulation with like either like Mystic Remora or Smothering Tithe or Rhystic Study, and it's just like whenever a spell is cast, well, Mystic Remora is non-creature, and you just pay or you get the effect, that I think that would get me a lot more excited about it than that it's just a second spell.
Yeah, well, I think in a game of Commander, you're definitely going to see double spelling happening a lot more overall because you generally have three other people you're playing with. So I think Monologue Tax is pretty good. Not the same power level of Smothering Tithe, but to be fair, like Smothering Tithe is ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's one more mana.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I think Monologue Tax is not too bad. Like I think on average it's gonna pull the weight that you want it to pull. Like it's gonna do what you want it to do, but it definitely carries a little bit more risk with it than Smothering Tithe.
Well, I also thought Oko wasn't going to be a good card, so
Yeah.
what the hell do I know?
Well, I think like why like monologue tax instantly looks bad because you're like, oh my god, my brain. What was the other one?
Archaeomancer's map.
Oh, not the map.
Smothering Tide.
Yeah, thank you. Oh my god. So like you look at Smothering Tithe and you look at Monologue Tax because they're kind of doing the same thing, but Smothering Tithe is like infinitely better. So you're like, wow, Monologue Tax sucks. But in vacuum on its own, like Monologue Tax is still going to get you treasures because in Commander people are going to want to cast 2 spells in a turn and stuff. So it's definitely not, yeah, like you're saying, it's not like a powerhouse card like Smothering Tithe was, but I think it is still good. But when you compare the two, it's like, well, I'd rather have Smothering Tithe hands down.
Yeah, I think like when you think of Smothering Tithe, I think of Smothering Tithe more as like a combo piece. Like this is something that you can, wheel people's hands into and just generate like a ritual, like a ginormous ritual amount of mana, right? Or something more akin to like Dockside Extortionist, which is just also a broken combo piece that combos off with anything.
Also should have been in the Lorehold deck as a reprint.
yeah, that would have been perfect.
Yeah.
But like, I think Monologue Tax is going to be more in line with like a ramp spell with a little bit of upside in most scenarios.
Yeah. So I just went to face. The Lorehold and Quantricks decks are 70. And then we have the Silverquill and Witherbloom at 50. And then the Prismari is at 40. These are,
wow.
Remember, Canadian prices for our listeners.
Yeah, okay. Well, I overpaid for the Prismari decks. The other ones, I got a good deal. Because I paid $200 for the set, and I got 2 sets, one for me, one for us.
There you go.
So well, you paid for the Prismari deck at the proper price, and everything else is a deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I didn't get taken, and it was because it was such a large order, I didn't pay any shipping. So
sweet.
It's just just that. So we have Eureka Moment next. It's 2 green-blue for an instant. Draw 2 cards. You may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. This reminds me of Growth Spiral.
Yeah, it's like, you like Growth Spiral? Here's another card.
I love casting this card. I think this is probably one of my most favorite cards to cast in this set. It's just like,
it feels good.
There's a card. I can't remember the name. It's 5 mana, so it's 3 blue and a green. You draw 3, and you can play an additional land this turn.
Urban Evolution.
Yeah. So like I've played that, and I feel like at 5 mana it's just a little too clunky. But Eureka Moment hits like a certain sweet spot. It's like right at that harmonize CMC plus like a little growth spiral attached to it. So it works perfectly with something like a rampant growth or an explore or even a growth spiral like the turn before, just to hit 4 lands and then cast Eureka Moment and get to 6 the following turn. So I don't know. To me, it's just kind of like the perfect balance of card draw and ramp.
Yeah, and also Urban Evolution is a sorcery, so
exactly.
This is
garbage. Get it out of here.
It kind of is now. Yeah.
Just cast Eureka Moment. This is also like I've definitely drafted this and have been quite happy with it.
I know, right? It's just very clean. I don't know. It's just a satisfying spell to cast. That's been my experience with it.
This is what Matt, I think for most of us, when we started playing Magic, we had a Eureka Moment. So it's very flattering in that way too.
It's like, I love drawing cards.
Drawing cards feels good.
It really is the best. Drawing cards and ramping into big spells before, the 1 land a turn rule would normally allow you to do so is like the best, the most feel good moments in Magic. That and winning, love it.
Yeah.
Expressive Iteration is next. It's a blue and a red for sorcery. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand. Put one of them on the bottom of your library and exile one of them. You may play the exiled card this turn. Oh, you get lands. That's nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this card.
Yeah, like 2-mana filter cards I love a lot. And this is letting you get 2 cards out of it instead of just 1, like most cards do. Because you get to also play the exiled card. So yeah, this is sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I also like that guy in the background on the art is just like kicking it.
Yeah, he's having a good
It's
time.
like, kick it, yeah.
Yeah, which one of them do you think is going on the bottom of the library?
Definitely not the guy that's kicking it.
You think he's exile?
He's exiled. He's getting played.
exiled. Yeah,
He's getting played.
Yeah, he's getting played. He's just doing. He's a land. He's like, I'm getting played. I'm getting tapped. I don't know. Maybe the guy up in front. He looks kind of dour. I think.
He's just kind of.
I think we can get rid of him.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Well, especially since putting the card on the bottom of your library is the middle of the 3. I think that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Galazeth Prismari is next. Our next Elder Dragon. It's 2 blue-red for a 3/4 legendary Elder Dragon with flying. When it enters the battlefield, create a treasure token. Artifacts you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Spend this mana only to cast an instant or sorcery spell.
Yeah, this is obviously great in a spell slinger style deck. If you are doing like an artifact combo, like maybe you'll have like an instant or sorcery that you could maybe dump some extra stuff into, but he kind of ramps you because you do get 1 treasure, and it's cool because the treasure stays around while Galazeth is out, because it has the ability just to tap and add a mana, so you don't have to sacrifice it.
Yeah. Yeah, he reminds me a lot of like a fixed Urza.
Sure.
But I like the combination of not being totally ubiquitous across the board and only allowing you to tap the artifacts for instants and sorceries. Kind of gives you a little bit more of a restriction on how you build them.
Yeah.
So I think it kind of adds a new angle to, like an Urza build, right? Giving you red and giving you that limitation on instants and sorceries.
For sure.
Yeah, but like, the reason why the Urza card is so powerful is because it's flavorful. Like Urza is,
Yes, that's the reason.
godlike. Even before he was a planeswalker. I mean, now it's just, forget about it.
And he also has the the 5 mana ability to just like spin the top of your deck.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say pairs really nice with Dockside.
Oh well, of course.
Of course,
Yeah, or Winter Orb or Howling Mine.
Oof.
Harness Infinity is next. It's 1 black, green for an instant. Exchange your hand and graveyard. Exile Harness Infinity. Great commander card.
Such a cool card.
Yeah, very splashy, very fun. I like that it's an instant.
Exactly. I think if this card was
we all like that it's an instant.
if this card was a sorcery, it'd be much harder to find viable. But because it's an instant, like, yeah.
What is
yeah,
that?
you just do it and start your turn and go to town.
There's a classic green commander card that puts your graveyard into your hand and gives you no max hand size. What is it? What is that card?
Praetor's Council.
Praetor's Council. Yeah, it's got those vibes. I think Praetor's Council, I don't know which one would be stronger, but I'm sure if you're running one, you'd probably run the other.
Well, that one's a sorcery. I think the fact that this is an instant, like like Eric said, like you can do this, it is 7 mana, but you do this before your in the end step before your turn, and then you're just starting off with all that mana and all those cards, and it's sort of like a like it's almost like a Yawgmoth's bargain or a Yawgmoth's will, and you just get to go off.
I mean, it is an exchange, right? So if you do have goodies in your hand, you have to pitch them. But hear me out. 1 with nothing, right? 1 with No, that's a bad idea.
I've seen actually quite a few memes of the card 1 with nothing, and they'll do one that's like 2 with nothing, so it's like 1 black discard your hand, exile all permanents you control. Or there's like nothing with nothing, where it's like 1 black, you lose the game. There's some good ones. That's a good meme card for sure. Hulfrie Ghost Forge is next. It's 3 red white for a 4/5 legendary dwarf cleric. Spirits you control get +1/+1 and have trample and haste. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, exile it. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's a spirit in addition to its other types, and it has, when this creature leaves the battlefield, return the exiled card to your graveyard.
Yeah, this
There
card's
you go.
good.
They did it.
This is the best dwarf.
They actually did it. They actually made an interesting Boros commander.
First time ever.
But yeah,
Well, I think we had good news with Feather, but Hulfrie's a house.
yeah, like the awesome part obviously is that like a lot of these effects are usually, you know, you exile the creature and you get a token of it. But when that token goes away, you get the card back in your graveyard. That's just gas. Like that's so good.
Yeah, like that's just gravy. Like I would be fine with it just exiling it and staying exiled. Like that you're still getting good value from it, but just the fact that it does put it back, it's like, okay, well now I have an opportunity to do some other broken shit with this.
Right? Yeah, this guy's great.
Yeah, super fun.
Humiliate is next. It is white and a black for sorcery. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. Put a 1/1 counter on a creature you control.
Yeah, this is I always like targeting people's hands, being a Death Shadow player. So this card's pretty decent for like standard and stuff. Like definitely for sideboards, but it is cool again. Like we have that 1/1 counter for doing the ability.
And it's not, you know, like you'd expect something like this to say non-creature, non-land, you know, like a duress type of effect. But it is nice that it's less narrow with just the non-land.
It's great. And
yeah,
the other thing that I love now is like with these hand attack spells and there's MDFCs, you can hit people's lands out of their hand.
yeah, that's
and
true.
Really, people don't think about it all that often. And I've had matches where like I screw somebody out of lands, and then they're just like screwed because they thought that they were going to get that MDFC, and it's
right.
like, nope.
They kept like a 2 or 3 land hand, but 2 of them were MDFCs.
Yeah.
Lorehold Command is next. It's 3 red white for an instant. Choose 2. Create a 3/2 red and white spirit creature token. Create creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain indestructible and haste until end of turn. Lorehold Command deals 3 damage to any target. Target player gains 3 life. And sacrifice a permanent, then draw 2 cards. Are all of the commands instants?
No.
I feel like this is kind of this one's kind of more lackluster.
This one actually is one of the better ones, I think.
Oh, okay.
Just for what the other commands actually do. Like, this one is more expensive, which kind of sucks, but your options are pretty good. Like, giving all your stuff indestructible is a really good option. And then you can also, like, remove something, or drawing 2 cards is actually really good if you have, like, some sort of, like, token-based thing. And then if you have no creatures on the battlefield and you're really starving for a creature, you do have the option to throw a 3/2 onto the board.
Yeah, I assume the other commands are on the list, but we'll see.
Like, these obviously aren't as good as the original commands. Those are still better.
Oh yeah, I think, and that's a lot of what we're basing this on is the commands and those commands that have made that have gotten a foothold in modern, right?
Exactly. And like it's just the mana cost I think on these cards is too high compared to what those older commands were.
Oh yeah, if this was
3 mana?
Oh yeah, come on.
Yeah.
That's totally playable.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No doubt. Next up, we have Morality Spear. It's 2 black-green for an instant. This spell costs 2 less to cast. If you gained life this turn, destroy target non-land permanent. Nice. That's like, is that like Vindicate, or does Vindicate just hit a permanent?
It exiles a permanent.
Okay. even
Wait,
better.
wait.
Vindicate is destroy
That's-
a permanent.
Destroy.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, at sorcery speed. Yeah, like there's Anguished Unmaking, which
That's
is
what I was thinking of.
exile non-land permanent.
Yeah.
There's a good Vindicate meme where they just take the V off of it and it's just indicate and the card just says target permanent.
Yeah, that
Shit.
one.
That's good.
Yeah, no.
So Morality Spear.
It's a good card. Like, I mean, Utter End is a card that used to see a decent amount of play, and at worst, this is an Utter End, right?
Yeah.
And Utter End does exile, but this is instant speed. Assuming you're playing this in a deck that has like incidental life gain, or some sort of life gain synergy, and what you've basically got like a Terminate that can hit any non-land permanent. It's pretty good.
Practical Research is next. It's 3 blue-red for an instant. Draw 4 cards, then discard 2 cards unless you discard an instant or sorcery card.
I love drawing cards.
Yeah, and you draw a lot of cards from this one, and you're probably going to discard an instant or sorcery.
Yeah, like discard something with Jumpstart or Flashback.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Get some
Super
extra
value.
value.
Yeah.
I'm talking about that super value.
Yeah.
Value.
Isn't that what Superstore used to be called?
I wish.
No, not the show. The actual the store.
I have no
Like
idea.
this, I think it was used to. There was something. There was a super value. I'm certain of it. I remember my mom like yelling at me in a super value. So I'm sure it happened.
Kevin, we're leaving the super value.
And then I'm just screaming, laying on the floor, right? Because you just go limp. Right? You're like, this is the only power I have is to just go completely limp.
Yeah.
Oh man, God, it makes you wonder why anybody had children. Prismari Command is next. It's 1 blue-red for an instant. Choose 2. Prismari Command deals 2 damage to any target. Target player draws 2 cards, then discards 2 cards. Target player creates a treasure token or destroy target artifact. So yeah, to be fair, based on the Lorehold command that we just talked about, like this is a lower mana cost, but it sort of seems on par for that mana cost, like considering the mana cost of Lorehold command and what that card could allow you to do.
Like this is even like Shock and Faithless Looting combined, and it costs you more mana.
Well, like it gives me like Kolaghan's Command vibes.
Does it?
And like, well, yeah, like deal 2 damage, destroy target artifact. Like those are modes on Kolaghan's Command.
That is fair.
So like, I mean, I don't know. I feel like the flexibility, like, yeah, the Faithless Looting, deal 2 damage, like that's pretty good value. Like even making a treasure token in a pinch, I'm sure that will come up every once in a while. But being able to destroy an artifact at the very least, like that's going to be relevant in Commander. It's probably going to be like a playable card in Standard and Historic as well.
Yeah, I think this will definitely see more play than Lorehold Command, but the mana cost definitely has something to do with that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, just costing less is definitely something. I don't know, I just feel like there's other cards I'd rather play in a Commander deck for sure.
I don't know. Like there's something to be said about like flexible cards like this, right?
There is.
Like, it's a singleton format, so just having even if each mode is a little bit underwhelming, like all of them together and that flexibility that it provides is kind of the strength of the card, right?
Well, yeah, and exactly. That's the hallmark of modal cards is that they cost more mana for the effects, but you know that extra cost is what you're paying for the flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
Quantricks Command is next. It's 1 green blue for an instant. Choose 2. Return target creature or planeswalker to its owner's hand. Counter target artifact or enchantment spell. Put 2 1/1 counters on target creature. Target player shuffles up to 3 target cards from their graveyard into their library. Well, now this one seems like the weakest so far that we've
I didn't notice that it was only artifact or enchantment. The first time I drafted this, I was like, oops.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
you know what
very
I'd love
limiting.
to do? I'd love to
That's like an annul.
I'd love to like wait until somebody does like a vamp tutor or like a mystical tutor and then shuffle some cards into their library at instant speed. It's just to mess with them. It'd be fun.
That would be funny. But yeah, the best part about this card is it being a combat trick. Like in limited, it's pretty decent.
But,
yeah.
I don't think I'd want to throw this in many standard decks.
No, I wouldn't think so in these colors. No. Next up, we have Quantorius, Field Historian. It's 3 red white for a 2/4 legendary elephant cleric. Spirits you control get +1/+0, and whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, create a 3/2 red and white spirit creature token.
I love the graveyard theme that Lorehold has.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's not like the most supported archetype in limited, but overall, like I'm excited for this in Commander. It just gives like Boros a new angle.
Yeah, we're just gonna scavenger grounds you though, Riley. Like every time.
That's fine. I'll get a 3/2 white spirit creature token.
Oh yeah, you'll get. All right, it's one or more. It should be whenever. It should be whenever a card leaves your graveyard.
Oh, that would be busted.
Max exile
I would
yourself.
happily run scavenger grounds in my own deck if that was the case.
You're like, hey, I just got 23 twos. What's up?
Yeah. Well, they'd be 4/2s at that point because
Yes.
Quantorius.
Yeah. Also, like Quantorius works really well with Hulfrie. So.
Oh yeah, they pair very nicely.
They pair nicely.
You should have given them partner.
Yes, just random, just a random elephant and a dwarf.
Radiant Scroll Wielder is next. It's 2 red white for a 2/4 dwarf cleric. Instant and sorcery spells you control have lifelink. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile an instant or sorcery card at random from your graveyard. You may cast it this turn. If a spell cast this way would be put into your graveyard, exile it instead. I really like seeing this kind of thing where they give like instant and sorcery spells an effect on top of the effect that they already have. That's just a really nice way to just give them a little more just give them a little more value. And lifelink, especially in limited, but even in just constructed formats in general, it's so backbreaking.
Yeah, it can really give you some value. Like, now your shocks also gain you 2 life. Like, that's a decent bonus.
Yeah, and it can just be really difficult to come back from. With every bit of damage that your opponent is dealing to you, you're just creating more of a gap between your life totals. More of a gap that you're going to need to make up if you want to win the game. Like it's rough. I've been playing, I feel like I have a totally different perspective on Standard. I never played Standard Magic before, and I just started playing Arena, so I'm all like, no, that's bad in Standard, that's good in Standard. So I just feel like, it's like when I started playing Hearthstone all over again.
Yeah.
Although if you want to talk about Standard Hearthstone right now, it is a cesspool. So we shouldn't do that now. We should save that for another time when we're doing a podcast about Hearthstone.
But yeah, Radiant Scroll Wielder's like a little bit of backup in my Fire Song and Sunspeaker deck, so woohoo.
Yeah, I was thinking it looks like a mini Fire Song Sunspeaker.
Yeah.
That's right. Get that redundancy. Next up, we have Reconstruct History. 2 red white for a sorcery. Return up to 1 target artifact card, up to 1 target enchantment card, up to 1 target instant card, up to 1 target sorcery card, and up to 1 target planeswalker card from your graveyard to your hand. Exile Reconstruct History. This is a fantastic card. The ceiling is super high. It's nice that they're not giving us the decimate template where we have to fulfill all targets. It's just it's sort of like the longer the game goes on, the better this card gets.
Yeah, honestly, even if you're getting like an instant and a sorcery, that's pretty solid.
Oh yeah, that's worth it.
I'd be happy with that.
Totally.
But super cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think I'm not sure. I think this might be in the Lorehold commander deck. It's great. I opened the boxes and just like, made sure the decks were in there, but they're like, the boxes themselves are smaller than the original or like original commander decks, because they don't have the oversized card in them anymore.
Yeah.
So they're much more compact. They're even more, I kind of like the packaging on these ones over the 2-set commander decks we've been getting with standard sets.
Oh, for sure.
I like the packaging on those, but I like these, like this is like my favorite commander packaging thus far.
Yeah, big fan of it. And they replaced the oversized cards with like a thicker cardstock card. So you'll have like 2 copies of your commander, and one's just like this really thick cardstock.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, because like we never use the oversized cards.
No,
I know, right?
Yeah, but like the actual box is only slightly shorter than the original boxes, but then it's like twice as thick.
Oh, yeah. Well, it just seems like it
better. It looks
to
like
like
a nicer design.
Yeah, it is. And like, for like display purposes, I think it's better, but
And I'm wondering what that deck box is going to look like on the inside.
I'm sure it doesn't even hold sleeve cards, so I wouldn't don't hold your breath.
It might.
Like,
well, the ones in the, because I opened the Simic Commander Legends commander, so I could get the commander out of it. But the deck box in that box, if you sleeve the cards, they do not fit.
Yeah, but that's that stupid cheaper one. Like that's.
I mean, but there was the
wouldn't
same
give you
thing with
something
like
good.
dual decks and stuff. I don't think they're gonna give us something good, but we'll see. We'll see when we crack them open in like 2 months and we can get back together.
The photo looks like it's because the box is so wide. The only reason why the box is that goddamn wide has got to be the deck box. And if it's not, then what the hell's with the packaging? That's all.
So, Rushed Rebirth is next. It's a black and a green for an instant. Choose target creature. When that creature dies this turn, search your library for a creature card with lesser mana value. Put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle.
Yeah, like this can be like some sort of combo piece for your deck just to get a creature out. This is pretty great because you can get any creature. It obviously has to be less mana value than whatever you're targeting, but I think it's still pretty dang good value.
Yeah, on the right deck, like you sacrifice it, and no, it is it is a very interesting card. It is, it is narrow. You have to choose a creature. You have to tutor up a creature with lesser mana value, but it's not like it's not like a pod thing where it's like one less mana value. Like it's just lesser. So it is it is a very interesting card.
Yeah, and notably you can choose like an opponent's creature if it's gonna die, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, it's just any creature.
So it's not limited to just yours, but might be more of an edge case. I imagine if you're putting this in your deck, you're probably gonna have sacrifice outlets and a means to use this, but those situations might come up where somebody points a removal spell at somebody else's creature and you just go along for the ride.
Yeah, you're like, ooh, I can make use of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe sooner than you had expected to, but definitely don't build your deck that way thinking like, oh, maybe this will work out. Next up we have Cedric's Silverquill. It's 3 white-black for a 2/5 legendary Elder Dragon. It has flying and double strike. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may choose 2. Each mode must target a different player. Target player creates a 2/1 white and black Inkling creature token with flying. Target player draws a card and loses 1 life. And target player puts a 1/1 counter on each creature they control.
Whew. Sheesh.
Yeah, this can be fun in Commander because you do have the politics kind of side to it.
Right.
And then like putting a 1/1 counter on each creature is nothing to shy at. Being able to do that every single turn.
Yeah, it can be devastating.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and notably, you don't have to choose these modes, right? Like, it says
Yeah.
you may choose to. So, like, if you choose to do it, of course you have to choose to, and you're going to have to target somebody else with one of them. But, like, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to. So that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Silverquill Command is next. It's 2 white-black for a sorcery. Choose 2. Target creature gets +3/+3 and gains flying until end of turn. Return target creature card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Target player draws a card and loses 1 life. And target opponent sacrifices a creature.
So yeah, this one's sorcery. It's fine.
This one, yeah, it seems okay. I can't envision myself running something like this in Commander. It just seems just like
No way.
it falls a little too short, especially since it's target opponent sacrifices a creature. Maybe if it was like each opponent sacrifices a creature, then we could talk.
Yeah.
So Tanazir Kwondrex is next. It's 3 green-blue for a 4/4 legendary Elder Dragon with flying and trample. When it enters the battlefield, double the number of 1/1 counters on target creature you control. +1/+1 counters, excuse me. When it attacks, you may have the base power and toughness of other creatures you control become equal to Tanzanir's power and toughness until end of turn. Kind of a weird art style in this card. It kind of makes me think of Amonkhet a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of a little Egyptian. I don't like it. I'm just not a fan of like the desert aesthetic, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not. As much as I love Star Wars, I'm like, could we just get off of like Empire's the best one, not only because it is the best, but also because they're not on Tatooine at any point.
Yeah, this card's a little bit wonky because like when he enters the battlefield, you're doubling the 1/1 counters on target creature you control, but then when Tanazir's attacking, you can make your creatures 4/4s. Because like you obviously aren't targeting Quantricks because he's gonna have no counters when he enters most of the time.
Yeah,
Well-
it is. Yeah, that is a little clunky. I thought the same thing.
You see, the joke is that you're targeting a fractal, and the fractals have base power and toughness 0, right?
Yay.
But it's whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I think that ability of being able to, like, I'm just thinking back to one of my early Simic decks. It's like Vorel of the Hullclad or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
one
yeah.
green blue, and then it has an activated ability of green and a blue, and double the counters on a target creature.
I think that ended up in our Verisol, the split current deck.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
just having that one shot ability coming from the command zone, like that could be pretty strong. And at the end of the day, he is a 4/4 flying trample. Like, you probably have some +1/+1 counter synergies going on, so you could probably like go tall and go wide and then just like buff the crap out of your creatures. So he could make for a pretty threatening deck.
Got good old Frample.
Frample's
Right. 10 the Pests is next. It's a black and a green for an instant. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature. Create X 1/1 black and green pest creature tokens with when this creature dies, you gain 1 life, where X is the sacrificed creature's power.
Yeah, don't have any more creatures to sack to Demogoth Titan? Well, just make 11 pests.
Yep. And then Crater Hoof them.
Oh, yeah.
Nice little 1/2 go wide punch.
Definitely.
Thrilling Discovery is next. It is Boros, red and a white for a sorcery. Sorry, I shouldn't say Boros. That's it's faux pas now. You gain 2 life. Then you may discard 2 cards. If you do, draw 3 cards.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
it's- go ahead.
I just want to say yeah, for sure. Like,
I was gonna say it's a cathartic reunion, but there's pluses and minuses on both sides. The pluses, of course, you gain 2 life, and fortunately, this the discarding a card, or the discarding 2 cards in this case, is part of the resolution of the spell. It's not part of the cost. So if this gets countered, you're not down 3 cards, right? But on the flip side, if you go to copy this, it's part of the resolution, so you'd still have to discard those cards for each copy. Whereas like a Cathartic Reunion, you could copy and just get, draw 3 additional cards without having to pay the additional cost of discarding 2. So a little bit of give and take.
Yeah, I think in Commander, it's still good to, if you're copying spells, like obviously go for Cathartic Reunions and stuff. But just in like general constructed play, like this card is really good because you're not going to get screwed over if somebody does counter it on you.
Yeah, and it's nice to see that you gain 2 life, Gravy.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Gravy.
Velomachus Lorehold is next.
Yeah.
It's 5 red white for a 5/5 legendary Elder Dragon. It has flying, vigilance, and haste. So like I'm already in. Whenever it attacks, look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may cast an instant or sorcery spell with mana value less than or equal to its power from among them without paying its mana cost. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So you're getting to dig. It has haste, so you're going to get that right away.
Yeah.
So you're getting to dig 7 cards deep and cast an instant or sorcery spell with mana with CMC 5 or less for free. Casting a spell without paying its mana cost is something I never get tired of seeing on cards.
Oh yeah.
And I don't love the look of this particular Elder Dragon, but I think so far this is like just my favorite kind of just like the immediate power of this card is really getting me fired up.
Yeah, I love how you do get the trigger right away because it has haste. Like that's just extra awesome.
Yeah, and then it just sits there as a blocker. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Narset without the blue, right? You just run a bunch of like extra combat spells.
Ooh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you just you play this and you start going off.
I kind of like Narset though, because then you just win the game. Next up, we have Venerable Warsinger. It's 1 red-white for a 3/3 spirit cleric. It has vigilance and trample, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may return target creature card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the amount of damage Venerable Warsinger dealt to that player.
Hell yeah.
It's pretty solid.
I love that they're playing more with like White's reanimation, right? Like this, I'm a big fan of where they went with Lorehold and using the graveyard and giving White a different angle for like card advantage and value.
Yeah, and like coming back to the battlefield obviously is super great.
Huge. Of course, you could always run this in a deck that's trying to modify like power, so you can always get a thicker boy back if you want to.
Or just put like a Loxodon hammer on it or something.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, don't get too thick. Witherbloom Apprentice is next. It's black and green for a 2/2 human druid. It has Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life.
I like playing storm decks. So this is just a fun little value creature.
You just like seeing us like tick down our life total 1 by 1.
I just like showing you my game actions.
yeah, we know. We need like an overall like season achievement in the league for like most game actions.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure Trevor would love that. He loves counting the game actions.
He would like that, I think, in theory, but I think if he actually had to like pay attention to the game actions, I think he would be a little salty about it.
Yeah, this guy's just like a nice little instant of value, like even just like drafting with it. You cast like a few spells out, you're still getting those like little bits of draining happening. This card's pretty solid.
Witherbloom Command is next. It's black and a red for a sorcery. Choose 2. Target player mills 3 cards. Then you return a land card from your graveyard to your hand. Destroy target non-creature, non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less. Target creature gets -3/-1 until end of turn. Target opponent loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life.
So, like this would, I'm sure that I haven't played with this in draft yet, but I would definitely first pick something like this. Like it seems like a pretty flexible removal spell, but overall it's fairly underwhelming. So I don't think I would be particularly excited to play something like this in Commander. And I'm not really sure about Standard either.
Yeah, no, I think like the place for this is limited. I did actually play with it once, and like there were times where I got rid of 2 creatures with this one spell, and that felt good.
Okay, moving on to Colorless. Our first colorless card here, our first artifact, is Cody Vociferous Codex. It's 3 mana for a 1/4 legendary artifact creature construct. You can't cast permanent spells, and you can pay for tap it to add Wooburg to your mana pool. When you cast your next spell this turn, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile an instant or sorcery card with lesser mana value. Until end of turn, you may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Put each other card exiled this way on the bottom of your library in a random order.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Who needs permanents anyways?
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Cody is probably the most fun archetype to draft around in Strixhaven. I think I've had 3 drafts where I built around Cody, and all 3 of them were a lot of fun.
I haven't seen a Cody yet.
Yeah, it's one of those decks where it's like, learn spells with the lessons, like the summoning lessons and like the big Prismari spells, like go really well with Cody. Obviously he gives like your instants and sorceries like a pseudo cascade, like the or I guess more like a Sunbird's Invocation, because it's the first spell that you use with his ability.
Yeah.
But his stats kind of line up nicely, because on turn 3, or maybe sooner if you've played out a Soul Ring the turn before and turn 2, you can cast him, and then on the following turn you can activate his ability, and he's essentially ramp, right? So yeah, super fun. I'm sure he would be a lot of fun to build around in Commander as well. Just like do a weird zany spell slinger deck.
Well, yeah, like there are spells that make tokens and stuff, so.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to the this is sort of just like the colorless lesson cards. I'll just, one of them is Introduction to Prophecy. It's 3 mana for a sorcery lesson. Scry 2, then draw a card. And there's one that buffs a creature, gives it vigilance till end of turn. There's one that lets you search your library for a basic land, put it into your hand. There's a couple others, and I'm just thinking about these cards in Commander, and obviously you don't want to put lessons into your sideboard in Commander because there's no sideboard.
Yeah.
But you can run these cards in your main deck, and this one and the one that lets you search for a basic land card, they sort of let you break the color pie a little bit. So, this card, for example, Introduction to Prophecy, lets you do something in white or Boros that you wouldn't normally be able to do, like an effect that's historically a blue effect. Historically, this effect in blue usually costs less than 3 mana, but, you're breaking the color pie at a cost, and I'm fine with that. I'm not one of those like color pie purists. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I just think the cards like this one are more of the Magic's desire to make the game more approachable and make the game feel good for new and enfranchised and returning players with things like this. So, but I just like to see this kind of thing.
Yeah, the lessons have been very fun in limited. Like they've made for a lot of nice flexibility, just in your deck. Like historically, like tutors are not very strong in limited, but when they're stapled onto like every other card in your deck, it makes for some nice consistent gameplay. Like it's they're not overpowered by any means, but you're definitely not short on things to do in Strixhaven Limited. So that's been very fun, and that's kind of what the deck, kind of what the format comes down to is like a format based more around attrition. Like whoever has more things to do is usually the person who does a lot better, and learning lessons definitely helps.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's just game actions. Yeah.
Yeah. Show me your game actions.
Next up, we have Strixhaven Stadium. It's 3 generic mana for an artifact. You can add 1 generic mana to your mana pool. Put a point counter on Strixhaven Stadium. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to you, remove a point counter from Strixhaven Stadium. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to an opponent, put a point counter on Strixhaven Stadium. Then, if it has 10 or more point counters on it, remove all, and that player loses the game. Oh, ouch. I love cards that just like snipe a player out of the game. It's sorry, bye.
See ya.
Do you guys like Quidditch?
I liked it more in the books. I feel like the movies didn't really do it justice. I kind of wanted to skip every instance of Quidditch in the books, or in the movies rather. But
and then like the one movie where it's like a big pivotal part in the book, they like really just graze over it.
Oh, I don't know which book is which one.
Oh, I know, I can't remember anymore. But it's at because they go to the big tournament at the beginning.
Oh yeah, that's the 4th one. That's the what is that one called? It's the one where
Fire
Voldemort
Phoenix
comes back.
Goblet of Fire.
Goblet of Fire.
There
yes, thank you, Riley. They definitely they definitely butchered that one on screen. That one and the 6th book, the 6th movie are hot garbage. The other ones are like the first 3 movies are okay, but we probably shouldn't litigate Harry Potter on this podcast. So Zephyr Boots is next. It's 1 mana for an equipment. Equipped creature has flying. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card, then discard a card. And the equipped cost is 2. So not bad. I like that one drop. The equipped cost is a little rich for my blood, but maybe I could be convinced.
Well, yeah, because it's giving your creature evasion, and then you're able to like loot.
Yeah, I think it definitely. I think this will play pretty well, like just as a nice utility equipment, just to give you a little bit of consistency in the early game, and then just give you relevant evasion in the late game. So, yeah, it'll probably play out better than you'd expect on just a unassuming piece of equipment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're moving on to lands here. So I just have the enemy common scry lands as a mix here. So they're the enemy pairing. So sorry, I don't remember all the names of the colleges. It's like Golgari, Boros, So I just think these are great. As soon as I saw these lands, I immediately thought of Pauper. Riley, I know you did too. Yeah. And they're great replacements for the common dual lands that enter the battlefield and let you gain a life. I think those originated in the cons block. And these are just great. I've already swapped out the dual lands in my Pauper decks that are like enemy color pairs, and I can't wait until they finish this cycle, because I'd so much rather have that sort of that scry effect in the late game or the mid game when I'm just sitting there not doing anything than gaining that 1 life up front. I think we can all agree that scrying 1 is in most cases better than gaining a life. So Yeah, definitely very excited about these lands for the Pauper format. But they're also great in Commanders as well. I'd rather run these in Commander than the than most of the tapped lands.
Yeah, nice budget option for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then we have Access Tunnel. It's a land, of course. It taps for a generic mana, and you can pay 3 to tap it. Target creature with power 3 or less can't be blocked this turn. So it's a cheaper, but also more narrow version of Rogue's Passage, because I believe Rogue's Passage it costs 4 mana.
Yeah,
and a target creature can't be blocked this turn.
You are correct.
Yeah,
I think in Commander, like, you just want to... I don't know how good Access Tunnel really is going to be. Unless you're built around some sort of certain thing. But definitely for, like, limited and stuff, this is a good card.
Yeah, and I would swap out... well, I already have swapped out Rogue's Passage for Access Tunnel in my Narset deck, because Narset is a 3/2.
Yep.
So it's it's just less mana. That deck is very... it tries to be very mana efficient. So, like, 1 less mana, is going to help me win games.
Yeah,
and I could see you playing this in, like, Alesha, who smiles at death, right? Because she's 3 power as well. And then there's also like Gorm the Great and is it like Villas the Vile or something like that. The partners from Battle Bond. I think it's the Villas.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he's like a 1/1 Death Touch, and whenever he deals combat damage to a player, they like lose half their life. So he would be a good one to make unblockable.
Yeah, so definitely like a niche card. I think like Rogue's Passage in Commander is still going to see more play far and wide, but that like this cost reduction is in the right decks is totally worth it.
Cool.
Oh yeah.
And last card we have here for our Strixhaven set review is the Biblioplex. It taps for a generic mana, and you can pay 2, tap it, look at the top card of your library. If it's an instant or sorcery card, you may reveal it and put it into your hand. If you don't put the card into your hand, you may put it into your graveyard. Activate only if you have exactly 0 or 7 cards in hand.
This is a pretty cool card. Like, I've definitely drafted it, and like, it's great that it has the 0 clause on it. Because,
I honestly, I wouldn't really be interested in activating this when you have 7 cards in hand.
No.
It's like, what are you doing that you need to, like, essentially pay 3 mana to have a look at the top card of your library when you already have a
7 cards in hand?
7 cards, yeah.
That's very funny. But yeah, like, even if you don't have too many instant sorceries in your deck, you still get to look at the top card, and if you don't need it, you can throw it in the graveyard, which is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is nice that it goes to the yard. It kind of reminds me of, obviously it reminds me of Library of Alexandria, but it kind of reminds me of Seagate Wreckage, where it's like 2 and a generic, like a colorless specific mana to draw a card, but you can only do it if you don't have any cards in hand. And like I run that in some decks, and in those decks specifically, like I'm dumping my hand a lot of the time. So in the right deck, it's pretty good. But obviously in limited, or even like Canadian Highlander, when a lot of the games end up with you just top decking. So yeah, you are. It just gives you that ability to dig a little more. All right, everybody. Well, that is going to bring our Strixhaven set review to a close. We're going to be back next week to review some of the new cards in the Strixhaven / Commander 21 set. If there were any cards from Strixhaven that we didn't cover, that didn't make it onto our list that you're looking forward to playing with, do let us know. You can do that in the comment section below, or you can DM us on Instagram, or you can email us, or just look for Turn 1 Soul Ring, the podcast, out there on the internet. But as always, thank you for listening, and we will be back next week with more exciting Magic the Gathering content.
Thanks for being here, everybody.
See ya.
Get you with that body of research.
Bye now.
Turn 1 Soul Ring.